Welcome to the Spike Feed, your leading Magic the Gathering podcast. What is up? My name is Curtis, and I'm just your typical Spike. On the line with me, like every week, practically, is my producer extraordinaire, Cameron McCoy. What's up, man?
Not a lot, man. Just living the dream. What was an extremely busy week the week before is now just a nice chill cash week. I like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
hmm
I feel like we've changed positions a little bit this week, but now you're the guy that's played a lot of Magic,
Indeed.
and so you have a lot to say about Standard, etc. Um, so just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. As you guys know, we have a Patreon, and we really appreciate that. But pretty soon, you're going to be hearing some new voices on the show because one of our Patreon tiers is that you get to be a guest on the show. And so some people have reached that, and we are very excited for that to happen.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah. And every time we have somebody else on or a guest, people are like, is this a new person? They're just a listener, right? We're just a listener, a community. And so inviting those guys on is super huge for us and very exciting. So know that that's happening, right?
And I just have to admit, like, just reading this one guy, he just sent us like some background. He is much cooler than us, so I'm a little worried about that.
Well, Cameron, if he holds season tickets to the Cubs, automatically cooler than you, man. That's a baseball team. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always wear a hat, I think, of the Cubs just to like upset you.
Ooh. Well, it is what it is, man. Uh, anyway, so let's talk about what's going on with us this week. So, Cameron, want to start you off with some standard. You played F&M this week?
I played F&M Paper Magic. It was glorious to actually sit down and play Paper Magic. I haven't done it for like a month, it seems. Um, yeah, and standard. So I played Blue White Fairies, and there's just a little
Spirits. You
tweak.
played Spirits. You
Oh
played
gosh, there's
Spirits. You
another
keep doing
slip.
that.
Sorry, I always keep on doing it. Blue White Spirits. Um, which, I have all the components now for it, except the playset of Archangel of Avacyn. And instead of going out to drop $75 on those cards with a deck that I don't know if I'm going to be playing, for the foreseeable future, I went ahead and used my playset of Elder Deep Fiends instead
Mm-hmm.
and substitute those in, which I really like. Elder Deep Fiend is also a flash card. It also has a lot of value where you can get, I think, a major tempo advantage early in the game if you play it correctly. So that's just what I did. I went 2-2. I dropped. There's a fifth round that I just didn't feel like playing. But the deck performs, I think, admirably. I think you had the same thing that I probably do, where like there's probably like what two or three top tier decks, like the really really good decks that consistently put up good results.
Mm-hmm.
But at least in like my local shop, and I think in a lot of people's local metas, um, that doesn't mean like all these like tier two decks are worthless because sometimes they just can come out of nowhere and win very quickly, very efficiently. Um,
Like mono green werewolves, for example.
exactly, right? Yeah. So anyway, what did I play? I played against the thing that I think spirits and probably humans and a lot of other decks suffer against is like black based decks that are playing Languish or the I can't remember the -4/-4 target creature card.
Languish.
Um, but there's another
Oh,
one where it's
Grasp of
like
Darkness.
Grasp of Darkness. There we go. There's just like cards like that that can wreck these low to the ground flying decks that I'm playing. Every time that I played against a black white control or the a green black deck, yeah, spirits just ain't gonna cut it. It doesn't matter how much counters it seemed that I had; they were always like one step ahead. And when they come in and swing with like an Emrakul or some giant Sorin, it's just like too little, too late, where I can't ever get ahead. So there's that. But if I'm playing against honestly like any of the Bant type decks, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I have legs, which is awesome. So Spirits is great. Spellqueller is awesome. I kept on thinking like how this card really does fit in I think some sort of modern deck, and I think that there is some sort of modern Spirits deck out there. I don't know if it's Esper or Blue White, but I think that has potential to be something with Rattle Chains, Selfless Spirit, and Spell Queller.
So what I want to do is direct you to MTG Goldfish. They do have a Bant Spirits list, and I didn't get through all the way watching the replay, but whenever I had turned it off, he was 4-0.
Wow. Okay.
And I mean, the green is for Noble Hierarch and Collected Company, and
Sure.
so there was no Geist in the deck, by the way,
Hmm.
and so you're able to Collected Company into like I think he plays Rock's Warmonk in it as well, which isn't a spirit, but just a really efficient way of gaining life and kind of holding down the ground. But Drug Skull Captain combined with Rattle Chains combined with Collected Company, I mean, you could do some pretty silly things.
For
Um,
sure.
no, but I Spell Queller's for real in Modern. I 100% believe that. And I don't know if it's just a Spirits deck or if it's just Spell Queller in Blue White Flash. But look, if you're one of these people that, I don't know, you picked up your Spell Quellers at the pre-release, and now you're like, oh man, they're regular rare, so they're down. Just ride the wave. Just hold them, play them, and you're probably going to be able to play them in Modern. I mean, it's on that power level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's quite Vendilion Click, but it's not legendary either, right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, but that's sweet, dude. Did you get to play anything else this week?
I played just a little bit of MTGO, and I was just in the playroom, messing with the mono white humans deck that I have. Uh, yeah, it's fine. It's a great deck, but it's really fallen out of favor. I feel like a lot of people just have answers and everything to that deck. So I don't know if I'd ever put it through a tournament or not, but at least to get some practice in, it's fine.
Yeah, I would say again, it is fine. The militia or the garrison really hasn't made a huge impact in that deck like we were thinking it would. That was one we
Yeah.
missed on for sure, or at least I did.
Hmm.
But yeah, on stream, I had like an insane work week, so my stream this week consisted of 3 matches. I mean, just toying around with Bant Humans. I mean, that's kind of where I'm locked until uh, Origins and Dragons of Tarkir rotates. I have the deck. I want to play it. I'm comfortable with it. I like it. I think it's a pretty breezy deck to play on stream as well because, hey, I play way worse on stream. I think everybody does just because you're trying to manage multiple things and
Oh
commentate.
yeah.
And it's an easy deck for me to kind of discuss my choices and play it at a crisp pace. So, the one kind of comical thing was, I was playing in the friendly room just because I was trying some things with the main deck. Actually, main deck to Gideon and main deck to Tamio and cut 2 Ojutai's commands, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
So
crazy.
kind of went in a different direction to try and improve the matchup against the black X decks. And I explained this on stream. So the difference between the friendly and competitive leagues is kind of whatever to me. Generally speaking, I kind of I gravitate towards the one that has more players in it, just because I
Sure.
can be in the queue for a shorter period of time. But especially when I'm tweaking decks and I'm trying to prepare for an FNM that I ultimately didn't attend because of just being tired.
Hmm.
Um, I like the friendly league vibe because you just play against random jank. And sometimes playing against random jank is really helpful. And true to form, I played against a mono green werewolf deck. And it was pretty effective against me. I think it would probably be just god awful against the black decks.
Hmm.
But seeing it work and seeing what it would do, it was just really useful for me. And then there was a mono red deck, and I've played against mono red in this standard format multiple times.
Hmm.
Because again, there's that mentality at every shop level, that I cannot stand when someone's new. Everybody just tells play mono red, play mono red, play mono red. It's the best. And it's like even in a format where it's pretty much unplayable, people still get this advice,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's really disappointing. Like guys, mono red is not good in this format at all. It's bad. Okay, it's just bad. Don't play it. If you want to play mono white humans, I think it's pretty close to a similar thing in terms of what strategy. It's pretty
Hmm.
similar in terms of cost, but a lot better, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a Modern Grand Prix going on this week. I'm still playing Just Sky Tokens, and then after that, I don't know. I might play Collected Company Elves because that won the Star City Games Invitational, and I have the
Hmm.
Collected Companies,
Yeah.
and it seems like a lot of fun. But we'll see. We'll see kind of what I want to go in a different direction. I don't want to just play Just Sky everything, right?
Sure. Sure.
Like some people I know, Cameron. Um,
Nate.
you always play Just Sky. Wait, have you played Grixis before?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Grixis, and I've sometimes even went just blue white. I
Oh,
know,
you
crazy.
rebel. You rebel.
Hmm.
Okay, let's get out of this segment. We want to come back and talk about the new draft league structure, Puca Trade, some other things going on. We'll be right back. All right, Cameron, huge news down the pipeline. This is going to be an MTGO centric topic, okay?
Hmm.
So we got news that draft leagues are starting, okay? And the way it would work, now forgive me because I read the article like 2 days ago, but I'm pretty certain this is how it would work, is you enter a draft league, you are in a draft pod, okay?
Hmm.
You complete your draft, and it's the same cost as a regular draft 14 ticks or equivalent packs and 2 ticks, whatever.
Hmm.
And then you're entered into the league structure where obviously you will not be able to play against or necessarily play against people in your pod. But you will always be paired against someone with a similar record. To do that, they have to actually make it to where it's just 3 matches, which is pretty typical for draft. The flip side of this is Swiss draft queues and 6-2-2-2-2, however many twos, uh, draft queues are just gone because they have to be able to fill these queues up somehow, right? And just adding
Yeah.
more options doesn't necessarily do that. So obviously, I have a lot to say about this. We talked about this kind of thing a little bit earlier. I want to say like a month ago. What are your thoughts, dude?
Generally pretty positive. I think uh, the reason that I like MTGO now compared to 2 years ago has a lot to do because of leagues and how easy it is to just log on and start playing Magic. Um, this seems great. It seems similar to like the sealed leagues, which I'm totally fine with. Um, I think yeah, you might not be able to play anybody in your pod per se, but like with my shop, there'll be 30 drafters, and there'll be 3 pods or something like that, or some
Mm-hmm.
equivalent of that, and sometimes within that draft, you'll never actually play against somebody within your pod, and it's totally fine. You're still everybody's playing the same pool of cards. You're still playing Magic, and yeah, I don't know. Like to me, it seems great. Like anything that helps up the ease of playing, I'm down with. So generally, pretty positive on this.
Well, I'm over the moon. It
Yeah.
it makes drafting possible in my life. So I have a less than 1 year old and I have a 9 year old daughter, and so trying to set aside I have to put them to bed, and then uh, I have like an hour to myself or an hour and a half, right? I
Mm-hmm.
do not have time to complete a draft ever, right? In this stage of my life. And acknowledging that and making it possible is huge for me. And
Yeah.
what's really curious, and I'll address some of the criticisms in a second, but what's really going to be interesting is how many people this pulls out of sealed leagues. Because just to be honest with you, now that this exists, I have no interest in playing sealed league ever. It's $10 less, and just because I'm getting 2 more matches and in theory some more cards out of a sealed league, I just like the draft game better, and I like drafting better than opening a sealed pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that I could just draft a deck and then go to bed, awesome, awesome, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, hashtag old man problems, whatever. But we have to understand that Magic has to compete with these other games that I can just jump right in and play, right? And even if you're in an 8-4, and guys, I've not done a lot of 8-4s, but I've done a lot of, well, they used to be 4-3-2-2-2, 4-3-2-2. Um, guys, I've done those, and even whenever, yes, they are faster than Swiss, but still, you have to tell yourself, I need to set aside 3 hours in case I get to the finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's just craziness. You're not going to be able to do it. And this is better. This is a better thing for Magic Online. Um, it's also better for streaming because I've tried to do a few drafts online, and the wait time between the matches. I mean, look, I won't shut up. That's one of my quote unquote skills. But trying to fill 20 minutes of airtime and I'm not skilled enough to multi queue. I'm just not like to play 3 draft matches at the same time. No way. And run a stream. So this is great for me, and it makes me want to play limited on stream more, which I think is something that Wizards should definitely want, right? Now, Cameron, you're just not a limited guy typically. I mean,
Yeah.
does this make you more willing to try drafting on a regular basis, or is it still it's not constructed, so it's not you?
Uh, Mainly it's not constructed, so it's not me. However, like I do like this. I mean, I do a lot of phantoms. Like I just will get a lot
Mm.
of like phantom points or whatever, and I'll just like play, and there's nothing really involved. And if you lose a match, you're done, and you just go on, right? And it does help you familiarize I get more familiarized with those cards, which is really what I'm trying to do. Yeah. I mean, I'm just generally positive on this. I like ditto everything that you said, and
Well,
yeah, I hope that this will help increase the amount of people who will play limited, which I think is a great entry into Magic larger.
well, let's take it here. Let's pretend that Magic Online was nothing but leagues, meaning no more draft pods, no more 8-4s, no more single elimination, no more two-man queues, full-time leagues all the time. Does that matter to you?
No, honestly, as long as there's still a playroom where I can practice and not have to invest any money in it, and as long as yeah, it's easy to play, I don't see why there's an issue. I mean, sometimes it stinks because you have to wait 5 minutes to start your next queue or whatever for a league, but that's mainly just legacy. I mean, whenever I'm playing a standard league, I'm in like no time. So,
Yeah, my thoughts on this are they need to address it in such a way where they put the maximum amount of people in a league at a time. And I mean,
mhm.
just as a new player, if you could just open the tournament page and it was like standard league, modern league, draft league, that's it. And they simplified it that much and put all their player base into those places, the queues would fire so much faster and you'd be able to play even more quickly, right? Because
Mhm.
even the queues now, whenever they're between 2 and 5 minutes, it's like if I were playing another game, I could be playing the game. And
For
so
sure.
I think this is a transition we're going to go through, and you're going to hear a lot of, people being upset about the prize structures, which I always find to be a little bit, you know, irrelevant to me. To me, it's about playing the game as much as possible. Like the difference between Winnipeg Swiss and 6-2-2-2-2 is
Mhm.
irrelevant as long as I'm in a Swiss. But the big complaint right now is it's again changed. And I'm trying not to tint this with sarcasm, but it's really difficult. Is when people hit this like Magic Online is the pure drafting experience, and it's the exact same experience that you would get at the store. Why are you changing it to be? And like this argument rings totally false to me. So first of all, if you're at a competitive REL, you can only see the cards you've drafted between packs. You can't see the cards as you're drafting them, and so
Mhm.
maybe your shop allows that, maybe they don't. I don't know, but that's one huge difference between Magic Online and real life. And please don't send me a message saying you're so thug nasty at drafting that you memorize everything and you know what you have. Great, fantastic for you. But again, a competitive REL, you can't see, and that's a big difference. Secondly, uh, I don't know what shop you're going to that all the draft pods are exactly divisible by 8.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been in draft pods of 9, of 4, of all
Yeah.
these stores. Like the draft pods are different, right? So there is that as well. And like you said, some stores do cross pod things, but again, we're talking about a very small percentage difference, and I think it's
Mhm.
going to be only really noticeable when there's a particular archetype or specifically certain very overpowered, like think Pack Rat or Umazawa's Jit or something that's like if you're 2-0, you're more likely to run into that card, right?
Mhm.
That's the difference. I mean, we're talking about, I would guess, less than 5% of a difference in experience whenever you're cross pod, right?
I
But
think
people,
so. Yeah.
but people want to like oversell that experience because as Magic players, when something goes wrong, we have to blame it on that certain small percentage, not like, hey, it's just variance or I played poorly or I built my deck incorrectly, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, I'm ready to go full in. I'm ready to get rid of so many of these queues and put everybody in leagues and make it a clean experience for people. Because again, there are multiple people that are new to the game that I'm, like old friends or whatever that know I do this and they're interested in the game, and I'm still not suggesting Magic Online to them, right?
Yeah.
But if they could just
Yeah.
open the tournament page and play a draft. Now there's the cost issue too, which we've talked about a million times, but I'm just full bore on this. I'm very, very happy. So Yeah. Not great for PT training to cross pods. Yeah, and that's fair. But this came from the chat, by the way. Somebody was talking about
Mhm.
training like serious drafts. But I also want to mention this because I hear this all the time. People are saying, well, if you want to train for the PT or competitive REL, you need to be in 8-4s. Guys, competitive REL, the pods are Swiss, right? So don't even give me this like 8-4 is exactly like, because whenever you're at the Pro Tour or whenever I did those old Star City drafts, you had to play Swiss. You did, right? And so it's never going to be 1-to-1. It's never going to be exact. Okay, Cameron,
Yeah, man.
we got Kaladesh cards, or I should say a card.
Kaladesh card. Yeah. Yeah.
Kaladesh card. I'm going to pull it up here so our live viewers can check it out. It's not a great photo,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but we've got a little bit of something here. So why don't you read it for me?
Yeah, so we have Sahili's Artistry, which cost 4 blue blue. It's a sorcery. It has choose one or both. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact. Create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. So there seems to be some pretty good value. I mean, 6 is a very steep cost for something like this, but yeah, I just don't know where this is going to fit, if it will fit. It seems like it might be a little bit of a bulk rare. But if like we're getting cards like this where you can choose one or both and you can get some maximum value out of them, I'm always down for that. So I'm looking forward to seeing like, what the white card of this will be or what other cards will exist with like the choose one or both mechanic.
So yeah, again, we're agreeing too much. We need to start disagreeing about something today, Cameron. Okay. Uh, but this card, I don't see, unless some constructed breaks a certain way, like standard breaks a certain way. This card is probably not good enough for constructed play. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably, if it's an artifacts matter set, it's probably a very good draft rare.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're probably going to see a lot of artifacts. Now, this does scare me because the last two times we've had artifact matter sets, we've had some very real problems in standard. Keep in mind, Stoneforge Mystic and Chase the Mind Sculptor were fine until we released Mirrodin Besieged and New Phyrexia, and we got Batterskull and Sword of Feast and Famine with those cards,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then
Yeah. Yeah.
Affinity was banned, and that was another artifact, the original Mirrodin. So, I mean, I don't know exactly. Maybe they'll have colored artifacts, whatever.
Hmm.
But it's going to be interesting. I'm not the kind of guy that goes through the gather and sees what cards made artifact matter, but there are a bunch of colorless matters cards from the Eldrazi stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but what's also interesting about this is just the art. Like it looks like we're going from, this overly dark, brooding Innistrad thing to something that's more colorful and a little bit more flexing their design muscle, which seems cool, right? So like you said, not a ton to say about this card besides looks nice, looks interesting. I think it says more about the set than it does anything about constructed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, last topic. Just briefly wanted to touch on this before we move on. Puca Trade. We talked about it last week before the show. So, I mean, I woke up this morning, didn't even shave for the show, Cameron. This is how intense it was for me,
Wow. Wow.
I know you get ready to be on the air live. You
Yeah,
look,
you do your hair, you do your makeup.
I mean,
That's the life, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I pop on the webcam, I'm like, "Dang, Cameron." Right? Cameron looks like a soccer star because the man puts in the preparation, right? Whereas soccer's a game; it's a sport. Come on. Anyway, for me, I'm like frantically trying to do all this show research, and I was like, oh, I gotta do the Puca trade, online trade. I have some Force of Wills that I'm not using on Magic Online, so surely I can trade those away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went on, I set up my new account, I went through their new site, their bots are down. Um, so I couldn't actually engage in any Magic Online trading through Puca Trade yet. So
Mm-hmm.
expect a full report. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's the first week, and there was a big update on Magic Online, so they say that their bots need to be fixed up a little bit. So I'm not really one of these guys that's like, it should work day one. Blah, blah. Like, look, I understand there's problems. It's not like these things are burning a hole in my pocket. I'm not paying for
Yeah.
Puca Trade, so I feel a little less entitled about it. But we'll see. I definitely am interested to use it, and essentially get cards from MTGO. That's where I really want to head. So I'll let you know. But if you go onto their new website, the design is cleaner. There's conditions. There's languages, and it seems like they've done a lot of work to the point it makes you wonder why they didn't divide this up more. Why didn't they just do MTGO trading as a different thing, make the conditions just one? I mean, it feels like they just bit off a lot. So
Yeah.
hopefully it works, but I just wanted to touch base on that. So Cameron, we're going to talk some video games, right?
Dang straight. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get out of this segment, come back and talk about what we've been doing this week. All right, Cameron, let's talk a little bit about what we've been watching, playing, etc. this week. So let's start with you, man. What's been on the playlist since you've had the time this week?
Yeah. So something that I'm not a PC gamer. I love the idea of PC gaming, but it's just like one of those things that I grew up on consoles, and that's kind of what I play as an adult. But there are like a ton of different like PC games that I've always wanted to play or check out. One of which that's been out for a few years now was Kerbal Space Program, and it was released on the PlayStation 4, I think a month ago. I didn't see any promotion or anything. I just was kind of searching through PlayStation Store and saw it and like snap by. I have to play that because I've been wanting to play it so badly. So if you don't know what Kerbal Space Program is, it's kind of like a NASA simulator. It's the best way. You are like these little Kerbal people, like these little cute characters, and it's like heavily into physics and engineering and building a rocket ship to get to a moon or to a different planet. And it's all about like finding the right funding and all. It's great. It's a big simulator using like these cute little characters. And I would say that there's a ton of educational value behind something like this that could really get kids interested in STEM, if you're not an educator, science, technology, engineering, math, right? I mean, things of that nature. But anyway, Kerbal on the PlayStation 4. I fail like you wouldn't believe. Like I haven't successfully launched a rocket yet because it's just amazing to see things go up in flames by testing and experimenting. The menu system is overwhelming and daunting. It's very much designed for PC, right? Like this is the way you're actually supposed to be playing the game. And so navigating and using like what would be a keyboard and mouse on a gamepad is actually pretty tough, but it's still fairly easy to at least construct your rocket ships and whatnot. So I think you should probably play this on PC, but if you don't have the option, definitely check it out on PS4. It's only $40, and you're gonna get hours of entertainment. If you have kids, like man, this is something that I would just like. It's like Minecraft. Let them go, have fun, and just have fun to fail and learn that way. So it's great.
There is a company that makes the two games that I know that they have altered are Minecraft and Kerbal Space Program for classroom use.
Okay.
And I don't know what the Kerbal Space Program version is called, but the other one's Minecraft EDU, and incredibly powerful tools. Yeah, I've not personally played Kerbal Space Program, but I'm very engaged and interested in it. Simulation stuff. I feel like maybe as we get older and and become more boring old men, that kind of stuff just intrigues me more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
are you gonna play like Microsoft Flight Sim?
Well, I mean, I played Elite Dangerous on a console. I don't know what that tells you, but
Yeah.
that is as simmy of a space thing as it can be. And I mean, you have to actually click in the joystick buttons to alter the rest of what the pad does because there's so many buttons. So
Yeah.
as like not exclusively console gamers, but people that play a lot of games on consoles, it's always interesting to see how that stuff gets transitioned, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I shouldn't say until, I've never played a Diablo on a PC. I played Diablo 1 on PlayStation 1. And I played Diablo 3 on PlayStation 3. You know what I mean? So that's been my experience largely. So I want to talk about. So I won't talk about No Man's Sky this week. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But so I jumped to Telltale Games, Batman uh, story. Right, they release
Hmm.
on an episodic schedule. So only episode 1 is out. It's $5. It'll probably take you a couple hours to finish, just like every Telltale game. And I know some people might not be aware of Telltale, I guess,
Hmm.
but they've done Walking Dead and Game of
Back to the
Thrones,
Future.
Back to the
Yeah.
Future, and they do these episodic releases. And once it's complete, or even ahead of time, you can buy a season pass and just get them as they come. But um, way after the fact, you can just buy a disc with all the episodes on it. They've also done the Minecraft story mode. Um, and I've dabbled. I've played a lot of The Walking Dead season 1 when that was new, back when that was kind of the rage. Remember, it won like Game of the Year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I played that on iPad, and I've kind of had hit and miss relationship with them. I didn't really like their Monkey Island that they did many years ago.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
played the first episode of Game of Thrones and thought it was okay. Uh, but this I've really enjoyed. Really enjoyed. And I played it in 2 sittings, right? Which is pretty unusual. Usually with Telltale
Yeah.
games, it takes me longer just because I only want to do it in 20-minute spurts. So these are very quick time event, story based. You choose dialogue options, you click on things, and you can play it on a tablet, you can play it on your PC, whatever.
Hmm.
And just a few warnings. First of all, the technical performance still stinks. Like, this has been a problem with their games. Like, out of nowhere, you'll have a horrible frame rate.
Hmm.
And while all this stuff is generally pretty interestingly written, just like all the other episodes that I've had of them, there are some real clunkers, some lines that you're just like, oh, wince,
Hmm.
oh, really? Did you just say that? So there are those moments, and they also do this thing where you choose a dialogue option, and that what you say and what you click are different, but it's supposed to be
Oh,
similar in tone. But
yeah.
sometimes we jump way off the deep end of what I meant to say and what, like, I don't pick up on the sarcasm or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, but the interesting part is like experiencing Batman in this way. So Greg Rucka, who is one of my favorite Batman writers and one of my favorite comic book writers, said when you write Batman, the difficult thing is to write all 3 characters. There's a character that's Bruce Wayne, there's a character that's Batman, and then there's the guy that he really is that's in between those two, right? That's whenever
Hmm.
he's in the Batcave or whatever. And you get to play that guy. And that's not something that happens in the Arkham games. You're just Batman. You're just running around beating people up,
Yeah.
driving
Yeah.
the Batmobile, and blowing up but not killing anybody. You can blow stuff
They're
up.
all robots, man. They're
They're all
all
robots.
robots.
It's fine. And this game lets you play that character and kind of manage his socialite life and being Batman. And there's some really kind of surface level investigate stuff that's not unbelievable, but there is an interesting mystery that I'm excited to pursue. And
Yeah.
they also do stuff where, because in the Arkham games, Gotham is just empty. Like, the only people that are on the street are people that are getting mugged.
Hmm.
Um, but this, it's like, the first episode, you go to a park and you see how it was and how it is now, And so it's very early in Batman's career. Harvey Dent isn't Two-Face yet, et cetera, et cetera. But I really liked it. I really liked it. And I mean, the one warning I would give you, Cameron, is the guy that's the voice actor for Batman in the animated series and in the Arkham games is not the voice of Batman in this game.
Oh, bummer. That would be. That's a shame. But yeah, I'm really, really curious in this game. Uh, as soon as I heard that that was announced, I was like, oh, that's intriguing. That could be really, really good. I mean, I really liked The Walking Dead all the way through. I mean, I played it through the entire game through one sitting, like all episodes. Um, I think I prefer to do that rather than just play one month and then wait another month. So I
Mm.
might wait until the entire set is out and then just go through it that way.
I will say the difference between Walking Dead and this is the stakes, just by nature of the character, are lower.
Hmm.
And I found that more chill because in Walking Dead, there were all these moments of, you didn't give so and so a candy bar, so now they want to murder you. And it's like,
Yeah,
well,
right.
okay, those kind of choices, right? That, I mean, I get what you're trying to do, but at the same time, sometimes it just felt like really extreme reactions to what was going on. Where with this, no matter how much you muck it up, you're still Bruce Wayne. He's still Batman,
Hmm.
and it's kind of the tertiary characters. The other thing that I would say is they really went all in on whiny Alfred on this,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I'm so like over that. Like, that was in Batman v Superman, and I'm ready for Alfred, who's the team player, who's on
Hmm.
board, who's like part of this thing, right? Because that's
Yeah.
how it should be. Like, why would he, if he was against it, why would he be hang? Like, it's silly. So anyway, um, yeah, and we agreed that I would not talk about Southside with you on the show. So I'm not going to go over it because we just don't want to like go down that road and get a
Yeah.
bunch of
Yeah.
hate tweets. But I will say that if you're the kind of person that would be open to seeing the movie, it was a nice little enjoyable film that's good for a date. Okay, so I'll just
All right.
leave it at that. Okay, I just
Hmm.
lost half
Hmm.
our listeners. Fantastic. So anyway, Cameron, if somebody would like to get a hold of you, where could they do so?
That's on Twitter at Cameron_McCoy.
And I am at Curtis Now. Our official show feed is at SpikeFeedMTG. We will check you guys next week.